We are in a good mood this week with news of an effective COVID-19 vaccine offering some way out of this miserable pandemic. But what about the British economy? The latest official figures are out today and they offer some reasons to be cheerful about the state of the economy, but maybe we shouldn't be getting too optimistic just yet. Coming up in this video, I'll take a look at the latest official figures, looking at UK GDP, how it's recovered in the third quarter, and also look ahead to what might be coming next. Hi everyone, I'm Martin Bamford, a chartered financial planner and informed choice, and in this video a reaction to the publication today of the latest official figures showing that the UK economy grew by 15.5% in the third quarter of 2020. So a record quarter of UK economic growth, a real bounce back from the doldrums of the COVID-19 pandemic and 6 months of really dire economic performance back then. At a headline level, that looks great, doesn't it? So I wanted to take a bit of a deeper dive into that headline figure of 15.5% growth and look at what the UK economy is really doing now and also what it's likely to do in the future. The first thing to say is that this economic performance in the third quarter was broad-based. So we saw strong economic growth across services, manufacturing and construction. It wasn't just a one-hit wonder for one particular sector. All areas of the British economy appear to have done quite well in that third quarter. So it's this period between July and September we're looking at. As the UK economy came out of lockdown measures, as the curve was flattened in terms of new coronavirus cases, and as people got back to almost normal, the new normal. So the economy opened up again and we saw more economic activity taking place. However, that 15.5% headline figure I think hides the real story, and that is during that period, July to September, a decline, a slowdown in economic growth. So you look at September's figure, for example, and the UK economy only grew by 1.1% in September. So it's good news at a headline level. You dig under the surface a little and it's not quite so positive. As a result of these latest economic figures, we know that the UK economy, the size of the UK economy, is still 8.2% smaller than it was compared to its pre-pandemic levels. And we heard last week from the Bank of England, they think it's going to take until early 2022 before the size of the UK economy is restored to those pre-pandemic levels. So we still have quite some way to go and lots of things that have to go right for that size of the UK GDP to be restored by early 2022. It's by no means guaranteed that we'll get there. There's also, of course, a reasonable chance that we'll see economic decline in the fourth quarter, the final quarter of 2020, and that's because we had a whole series of local lockdown measures starting, and then, of course, the national lockdown in England starting on the 5th of November, due to finish on the 2nd of December, but whether it will or not is anybody's guess at the moment. And that is going to damage the economy. We've seen a massive shutdown now of non-essential retailers, of the whole hospitality industry, and those figures will feed through. So we already had a slowdown through into September, and then October with local lockdown measures, November with national lockdown measures, and of course in Wales and Scotland bigger lockdown and fire breakers going on there too. So I think it's very likely in the final quarter of 2020 we're going to see not recession, because recession requires 2 consecutive quarters of decline, but at least a quarter of decline before hopefully the economy reopens in time for Christmas, in time for the new year, and we see some more positive figures for the start of 2021. Now, I have a quote here from Jonathan Atho, who is Deputy National Statistician for Economic Statistics at the ONS. Jonathan said, "While all main sectors of the economy continue to recover, the rate of growth slowed again, with the economy still remaining well below its pre-pandemic peak. The return of children to school boosted activity in the education sector. House building also continued to recover, while business strengthened for lawyers and accountants after a poor August. However, pubs and restaurants saw less business after the Eat Out to Help Out scheme ended, and accommodation saw less business after a successful summer." And I think we should take these official economic figures in the context of the rising rate of unemployment. So just recently, we've seen the latest official unemployment figures showing a rise to 4.8%. That's in the 3 months to September, up from 4.5% in the previous quarter. It means an additional 235,000 people are out of work in that quarter, and we expect the unemployment rate to continue rising, in part because Chancellor Rishi Sunak left his announcement on extending the furlough scheme through to next March too late. Employers had already made decisions about redundancy, about laying off people in their workforce, and therefore the job figures, the unemployment figures spiked at that time. Expect them to continue rising. Now, personally, I'm quite disappointed with today's figures. 15.5% for a quarter is a record amount of economic growth for a quarter for the UK, but I think the UK economy could have grown by so much more. We're still 8.2% below the pre-pandemic levels. There was a window of opportunity in the summer when the UK PLC could have made hay while the sun shined. Quite literally, it was a nice hot summer. And I think that if the government had given a bit more certainty, a bit more assurance to businesses about what the future might look like, that could have helped businesses to really push, really drive. It was inevitable we were going to get a second spike of the coronavirus around now as schools reopened, as we head into the winter months, as we get flu season alongside this second spike too. So these lockdown measures in my mind were inevitable. We were going to see restrictions placed on the economy around now anyway. And had the government just really given UK PLC a good push over the summer, we could have closed that gap between the pre-pandemic levels of the economy and the current level. So a real shame, I think, a real missed opportunity. But looking ahead, what's likely to come next? We know that just last week, the Bank of England forecast that the UK economy this year would shrink in size by around 11% before growing next year by about 7%. And the International Monetary Fund recently forecast that this year, the UK economy would shrink in size by 10.4% before growing next year by 5.7%. So a slightly less optimistic growth forecast from the IMF for next year compared to the Bank of England. However, and this is really important, those growth forecasts came before news of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. That announcement, I think, has the potential to really lift the UK economy next year, and we could see much, much better growth than was previously being forecasted if the vaccine gets emergency approval, regulatory approval quite quickly in the next few weeks, and if the NHS with army support is successful in rolling out this vaccine quickly, effectively, starting of course with the most vulnerable in society and then working its way through different age groups. So that could lead to a positive 2021 for the UK economy. However, we still have the spectre of Brexit and ongoing trade negotiations. That could be the elephant in the room when it comes to how UK economy performs next year. Depending on how those trade negotiations go, we could see a small hit to the UK economy in the start of 2021, or quite a big one. So a no trade deal Brexit could result in a real drag on UK economic performance next year, even with that positive news about the vaccine, hopefully unlocking the economy again. So if the government wants the economy to recover strongly as we head into next year, it needs to give businesses some certainty. It needs to give them the support they need, because businesses plan their activity months ahead. They don't look on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis. They need to know what the plan is for January, for March, for June next year. It's no good having announcements which tell us what's happening this week and next. Businesses cannot plan like that. So we want certainty from the government. We want to know what the roadmap looks like, particularly now we have news of this successful vaccine. There's more vaccines in stage 3 trials to follow that one too. So lots of positive things happening. I don't want to deny that for 1 second. Lots of reasons to be cheerful, but I do worry still about the downsides, about the risk factors, the things that could derail economic performance as we head into 2021. What are your views on these latest official figures, and where do you think the UK economy is heading next? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Please do subscribe to this channel. You can get notifications about future videos as they're published here. Until next time, thank you for watching. I'm Martin Bamford from Informed Choice, and when it comes to your money, the more you know, the faster it can grow.